One stock which has been in focus, and that's Dilip Bilcon, that's decided to sell 5 HAM projects to Cube Highways. The total valuation of the project stands at 7 billion rupees. To help us understand how the deal could strengthen the balance sheet of the company and also unlock capital for future projects, joining us now on the phone line is Head of Strategy and Planning, and that's Rohan Suryavanshi. Hi Rohan, good afternoon to you. Good to chat with you again, Rohan. You're divesting 5 HAM projects to Cube Highways and the valuation is around 700 crore. To begin with, if you could tell us what's the timeline of the payment that you'll be getting from Cube Highways?
Hi Navneet, a pleasure to be on your show as always, and hello to Neeraj as well and Devana as well. So, like you rightly pointed out, this is a transaction to sell 100% stake in 5 of our HAM projects to Cube Highways. Now, just to answer the question that you said, the deal basically is we were supposed to invest 568 crores in these as equity in these projects, against which Cube Highways is giving us consideration about 702 odd crores. Now, the timeline and the way that this deal is structured is that out of this 568 crores, we were supposed to invest the first 51%, which is about 290 crores or so. The second 49% during construction would be invested by Cube, which is about 278 crores, based on us meeting certain conditions. As the project gets completed, they will pay us another 180 odd crores or so. This will bring the total consideration paid by Cube to about 450, 460 odd crores, and which equals to 80% of the investment that we would have put in, which is 568 crores. Now, the remaining 230 to 40 odd crores, Cube will pay to us when we are able to get them the final equity, when we're able to finally transfer the equity to them after getting all the approvals from the NHAI and the lenders, which usually will take about COD plus 2 years, because that is what is currently mandated by law in the NHAI contracts. We are hoping there will be a relaxation in that. But as of now, that is how the deal will sort of flow.
Rohan, if I got that correct, 290 crore is the equity that is invested by your company. So tell us, going ahead, will there be more equity investment required from Dilip Bilcon into these 5 HAM projects, or 290 is the limit?
So originally we were supposed to invest all of it. So now, given the fact that we have a buyer and who's investing with us during construction, the equity consideration for DBL anyways comes down. And we had anyways planned these projects in such a way that we could, we could take care of all these equity commitments through our internal accruals. Now, to answer your question, I don't foresee that DBL will have to invest more equity above the 290 crores. Even if it has to, it will be immediately refunded by Cube as and when we meet those conditions, and those are pretty simple and straightforward. So I don't foresee that we will need to do that. But even if that is, we already had built all of those models in our current cash flows.
And the proceeds that you get from Cube Highways, will that be used to retire your debt? If yes, what's the quantum that you're aiming at?
Of course, whatever comes in will help us to reduce our debt furthermore. But in this financial year, there is nothing that will come from the Cube Highways, because we will be hitting the 50% project progress at the end of this financial year, about March or so. So whatever money will flow in the next financial year only. But even without that, our current debt is about 3,300 crores. Now, we are already foreseeing, a reduction that will happen in this on the total basis as well. And even as a debt equity ratio, we have said that, after our current debt equity ratio is about 1.01. It will come down to 0.8% or 0.8 at the end of this financial year or so. It has already come down by 5% from last quarter to this quarter. So we're expecting a total reduction of 25 basis points in this financial year, and we are very confident that it will happen, given the fact that we are not investing any more in new equipment. We are also not seeking any additional working capital lines. So we're very confident that we should be able to do that. Let me also point out that in the last 5 years, DBL has been on an expansion mode. So our revenue almost quadrupled in that time frame. But debt only increased by about 60-70%, which is it went up from 2,000 crores to 3,300 crores, when the revenue went from 2,600 crores to 9,200 crores. So we've been very, very mindful of how we've used debt, and our growth has mostly been fueled by internal.
You've stated that in the past, Rohan, you've been comfortable with the debt equity, and the guidance you're giving is you'll reduce it to 0.8 by year end. But one more question from my end. I think the company was also in talks with a couple of other investors for your other 7 HAM projects. What's the status there? What's the timeline that you're looking at? Around what time will you be able to sell those projects?
You're absolutely right. We are in talks with other investors to hive off the 7 remaining HAM projects that we have. We are very confident that it will happen in the next 3-4 months. And the structure of the deal should be on the similar lines as the Cube Highway transaction. But let's wait and watch once it finally happens. Given that there is a lot of due diligence and everything that goes on into completing any deal of such magnitude, and these are all individual projects where the due diligence has to happen at the individual level. But I hope to give you good news whenever in the coming few months.
Just to go back to your, the question on debt, you said it'll come down to 0.8, but the number that we're hearing at the absolute number terms is that through these projects, you'll bring down debt by about 1,800 crores. Is that realistic? Is that something that is a ballpark number which is correct?
So, Devna, thank you for your question. It's basically the debt for all those projects that you had to take to build these projects. These don't come on the standalone level. These come on the consolidated basis. But you're absolutely right. As we will harvest and divert these projects, it will reduce the debt by that much amount. But as of now, since these projects are still under construction, that much debt has not even been taken. The debt gets keeping up, going up proportionally as the project progress keeps on increasing. So when it finally finishes, there will be that much debt, but eventually it will all be transferred to Cube, given that they will be buying the assets.
Okay. And one last question. Since you're looking at divesting your HAM projects, 5 now, 7 in the pipeline, you will not be looking at bidding afresh for any new HAM projects, right? Aside from the fact that they feed into the EPC projects.
Sorry, I couldn't get that. You said, are we not going to invest in any more HAM projects?
Yes.
No, that is not the thought process that the company has. See, the fact is the government of India will always give out half of its projects under EPC and half of its projects under PPP. Just because they will never have enough
My question came more in line with the fact that you said your focus is going to be more towards EPC projects. That's why I asked you the question.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. However, the point I was trying to make is, let's say the government of India wants to, the total order flow that comes out in a year is about, let's say, 1 lakh crore. And half of them are EPC and half of them are HAM. If I choose to only do EPC projects, I will have to be extra competitive to win the amount of orders that I need to win under just the EPC route. And it will, reduce my overall margins. So which is why the company always undertakes projects in both the formats, under EPC and under PPP. But the idea for doing any PPP project is always that we want to just do the EPC part, and then we want to hive off these projects to an investor, which is what the company has demonstrated twice. So first, we sold off a complete portfolio to the Shrem Group. We had 24 assets. Again, there also we had assets under construction, which we were able to successfully divest. And that deal is about to come to a conclusion in this quarter and the next. And second, now with the Cube transaction, again, we've showcased our EPC capabilities and, the trust and the faith that an investor has, that they are willing to put and invest along with us during construction and take these projects off us when they finish. So this will be the model that DBL will continue to do even in future.